Welcome to the Schools Visit Service, part of Derbyshire County Council. This video is on countryside walks. We'll cover planning and we'll look at the weather. We'll do a bit on equipment and possibly emergency equipment that you might want to take with you as well. We'll look at some of the hazards involved with countryside walks, and that's the terrain underfoot. We'll look at farms and livestock, also hazards such as stiles, which can be quite high at times, but also the possibility of fall from heights on walks as well. And also we'll have a look at the dangers of water on a walk. There are a number of variables to think about when planning a walking trip. The first one is the route itself. It's worth checking how far you're going to be from emergency access, just in case a situation arises where you need to call the emergency services. And we recommend no further than 1 kilometre and certainly no more than 2 in case something happens. Then there's your group to think about and their ability. How far can they walk? And remember to plan your route with regard to the slowest person in that group. There's also the staffing, so think about the competency of your staff, but also about their physical fitness as well, to make sure that they can do that route easily. Then there's the terrain to think about, and the only way that you can check the terrain is actually to do a reconnaissance walk and check it out in that way yourself. Then there's the weather to think about, and while you might be planning the walk well in advance, it's worth thinking roughly what the weather's like for that time of year and making sure you've got a plan B if necessary. Then there's equipment, and what will your students be wearing? What quality of waterproofs have they got? Will they be wearing walking boots, Wellingtons or training shoes? The terrain underfoot can at times be challenging, particularly if you've got limestone, which can be very slippy, very polished, if it's wet and muddy as well. And we get a lot of limestone in our dales. So the importance of having a reconnaissance walk before you take your students is absolutely essential, so you know exactly what the terrain's going to be like. You may find that your path takes you to a place where a fall from height would be serious. So knowing your group and knowing their capabilities is essential, but also managing that part of the path if you do decide that they're capable to actually go along it. And this could be just walking them in single file across that section just to manage it safely. If your walk goes near water, make sure you understand the risks involved. On average, there are 400 drownings in the UK a year. And on school trips in the last 30 years, there's been 40 drownings. So make sure that you take that hazard seriously and you have control measures in your risk assessment. The stepping stones in Cheadale are just passable today. They're not covered with water at all, and there's only probably about 10 centimetres of depth where I am, but it doesn't take much for this to be covered over. So actually doing a recce of the route is really important. Likewise, knowing what the weather forecast is going to be on the day, but also knowing what the weather has been like for the last few days to have an idea of what water levels are like if you're walking by the side of any river on your chosen walk. Your walk is likely to go through farmers' fields, which often have livestock in. Be wary of any cows in fields, particularly if they've got calves as well. And if you've got any doubt, then take an alternative route. 10 people a year are killed by cows in the UK. Nearly half of those work on farms, but the other half are people who are just enjoying the countryside. So do take care. Likewise, going through any farms, which footpaths often do, watch out for farm machinery. Make sure that you brief your students on those hazards. Other hazards to be aware of are sheep ticks, which can transport Lyme disease. So know the signs and symptoms and pass those on to students and parents as well. Likewise, in spring and summer, be careful of adders, particularly on moorland areas, and make sure that you've got good hygiene arrangements in place, particularly if you're taking packed lunches with you.
Any styles that involve climbing or descending are a potential fall hazard and a risk that needs to be managed. This can be slippery limestone steps or high styles where coming down backwards is the safest method. It's useful to have a member of staff to manage students over styles and to be there to help them if needed.
Emergency equipment can be just getting your group to carry a spare jumper or fleece in a waterproof bag in their rucksacks, and perhaps yourselves, if it's cold, carrying extra hats and gloves, or if it's warm, sun hats and sun protection. If you've got somebody injured and you can't move them, then carrying something as simple as a foil blanket, which doesn't take up any room in your rucksack, can really help to keep them warm. Or the plastic emergency bivy bag, which they can get inside. Or if you need to keep all your group there as well, then carrying something like this. This is a group shelter, a 4-person one, but you can get group shelters up to 10 persons, and certainly if you've got primary school age, you'll probably get more than 10 in one of these. And it's just like a big parachute that you pull out. It's lightweight, put it over your head, everyone sits down on the edge of it, and with the body heat of all the people inside and the fact that it keeps the wind off as well, then it can actually keep somebody who's lying there, who's hurt, somebody warm as well. There are hill, moorland and mountainous areas where we would require a leader to have a hill and moorland or mountain leader qualification. So if you're unsure at all whether your chosen walk goes into this sort of terrain, please get in touch with us and we can have a look at the route for you.
If you purchase our service and would like more information on any aspect of school visits, please contact svs@derbyshire.gov.uk. If you don't purchase our service and would like more information on our offer, please also contact svs@derbyshire.gov.uk. We also have other information videos on our YouTube channel. Just search on YouTube Derbyshire Schools Visit Service. Thank you.